So I just got a text, Andrea, that that Anjali did not get this.
She could not get through?
She didn't get the link.
Okay, do you want to send it to her?
I think I
Are you able to do that, Julie, or?
I think I can get it.
Okay, I see us live.
Great, okay. All right, everyone on your best behavior now. Is that you, Chris, that just came in?
¿Hay algo para llevarnos? Sí, ¿cómo está? A ver,
Julie, are you ready to start?
I am. I do hear someone in the background, so if you're not muted, you probably should. I think you'll talk about that, right?
Well, I can mute everyone once we start. Were you able to get that connection? Oh, there's Anjali. Great, Anjali. So, okay. Okay, so I think we'll get started. Mute everyone. Okay, so good evening. My name's Andrea Gartner, and I am your temporary chair. I welcome you all to the 24th State Senate Convention. Thank you for doing your part in keeping the wheels of democracy moving forward in these most critical of times. Full disclosure, we are now streaming live on the Danbury Democratic Facebook page. At this time, I want to acknowledge our elected officials joining us this evening. In addition to our candidate, we have state representatives Bob Godfrey, Dave Arconti, and Ken Gucker. The former mayor of Danbury, Jean Eriquez, joins us tonight. Bethel's first selectman, Matt Knickerbocker. Selectwoman Chris Hall from New Fairfield. We have Kay Canetta, who serves on our Board of Education, and Ryan Hawley from Danbury Zoning. We also have Sherman Democratic Town Committee, David Sylvay, and New Fairfield Democratic Town Committee Chair, Josh Beckett Flores. I also want to acknowledge and give a shout out to a future legislator, Danette Onofrio, who was nominated last night for the 108th district. Thanks, Danette, for stepping up this year. And in addition to chairing our convention this evening, I am also the Danbury Democratic Town Committee Chair. Thank you, everyone, for serving for your public service. Some housekeeping details. Through the convention, I will be muting attendees except for during the roll call. And during that roll call, I'll unmute everyone and ask that you keep your ambient noise to a minimum. And then please feel free to mute yourself after you've acknowledged your presence. I've appointed Bethel's first selectman, Matt Knickerbocker, as temporary chair. I'm sorry, as temporary secretary. I am the temporary chair. Before we move forward with electing our permanent chair and our permanent secretary for the evening, the temporary secretary will read the call of convention and give the credentials report. So Matt, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and thank you for trying to promote me. That was very kind of you. I'm going to read down the list of delegates. I have actually been recording everybody as you logged on. There's only a few names missing, but I'm just to make sure that we have an accurate count. I'm going to read off your name, and if you would just say present. We do have one or two phone numbers with no names, so if you could you should light up so we should be able to see who you are. And if you are an alternate, just let us know your name when I call the delegate's name. So David Arconti, I see, is here. Gina Atanazoff. Is Patty Azera with us tonight?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Louisa Britton.
Here.
Oswaldo Chin.
I'm here.
Yep. Sorry. Kate Canetta is here. I can see you. Mary Consoli is here.
Yes.
Nicole Levy is here.
Yep.
James Cadella is here. Yesenia Cuevas is here. Jean
Yes.
Arquez. Hello, Jean.
Hi, Matt, how are you?
Good. Bernie Gallo is present. And Andrea is here. Joanna Giordano is here. Bob Godfrey is here.
Yep.
Ken Gucker is here. Ryan Hawley. Sonia Havasi, are you with us tonight?
I'm here, but I can't connect it.
Yes.
I'm having problems here.
You
That's
can't
okay, as
see it.
long as you. That's all we really need.
Laptop, it's not working. Then the cell phone, I don't know how to make myself visible. How do I do it?
There's an
What device
icon.
are you on?
Oh,
What device are you on?
well, at this point, the iPhone, because my laptop, I can't connect to the laptop. I'm having problem here.
If you
Is
hit
it
the screen,
possible
do you
to
see it? If you touch the screen, do you see a camera icon?
No, I see live, I see rec. No, I see the little
The lines, maybe.
person. I think that should be there, but I'm tapping that it's not working.
Sonia, if you will, if we could proceed with the call, the roll.
Yeah,
Okay.
do it, please.
I don't, if you can get to the chat box, I don't know, Patty, maybe you want to
All right.
tell her in the chat box.
So sorry about that.
That's okay, Sonia. We're glad to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for joining. Okay, so to continue, Wilson Hernandez, I know is here.
I'm here.
Very good. Fidel Ombra, are you here?
He's probably calling in later.
Okay. Anjali Aleskas?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I apologize if I murdered your name. Our candidate is with us, Julie Kushner. Chris Louth, are you here?
I'm here.
Perfect, thank you. Will Love, I see is here. Nelson is here with us.
Present.
Very good, thank you. Elvis Novas.
Here.
Very good. Sixto Rodriguez.
He was having trouble getting in, but he's going to be calling in a little later.
All right, I'll put a question mark there. Sandra Sanchez. Sandra. All right, we'll put a question mark. We'll come back to you. Kit is here, I believe.
Present, yep.
All right, Larry Morgan is here. I saw Larry. Lauren Mumford
Present.
is there. David Silve.
Here.
Very good, thank you. Bob Gamper. Bob Gamper from Sherman. All right, we'll circle back to Bob. Cindy McGuire is here. Robin Kahn, Lou David, Matt Knickerbocker. John McCarthy, are you here?
I'm here.
Oh, and I see Chris Hall is with you too, so got you too. Danny Onofrio is here. Ed Blands, are you here?
It's on his name.
Ed's here.
Okay. Joshua Flores.
Yeah, I'm here as a proxy for Terra Volpe.
Okay.
Tara's not on the list. It's an updated list.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's an updated list, and Tara's not on our list.
Okay. All right. Very good. And Margaret Kiley.
Here.
Yes, you're joining us from out of state, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay.
And that concludes the roll call.
Okay. And then there's more for you to do, Matt.
Yep. Yep, just grabbing my paperwork here. And let me count out the numbers.
Okay.
Well, where are you, Peggy, while we're waiting for the count? Oh, you're muted.
I muted everyone, but feel free to unmute as long as there's not too much, ambient or crosstalk going on. So
I'm on my way from Naples. I'm on my way from Naples, Florida, where I was supposed to be for 3 months, but ended up being there for 4.5 because of the virus. And I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, staying overnight with some dear college friends, rather than staying in a hotel. And then we make the last trek tomorrow back to home sweet home in New Fairfield. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, safe travels.
Thank you. It's been safe so far. Lots of peanut butter and jelly, however.
You couldn't get groceries in Florida?
Well, no, we just don't want to stop at any, we don't want to stop for food. We just want to have our own food in the car. So peanuts and peanut butter.
So Matt, have you have a total?
Yep, I do. We have a total of 34 delegates, 4 alternates, and 1 proxy.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to serve in this capacity for the convention. It's an honor to be here. And I want to thank everybody for stepping up to the plate, all the candidates, all you elected officials, and of course, our prime candidate, Julie. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us in the Senate. These are certainly challenging times. This is not an easy thing to get through when there's so many things we can't do that we dearly love to do, especially getting together with a convention. That's one of the things that as Democrats, as involved public servants, we love to get together, share stories, and share a company with one another. So thank you for keeping democracy working through these challenging times and being here. So I'm gonna now read the call of the convention. Call of the 2020 24th District State Senate Convention. The 2020 24th District State Senate Convention will be held by teleconference and convene on Tuesday, May 19th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. for the following purposes. Number 1, to endorse the Democratic candidate for election for the 24th Senate District, State Senate District. Number 2, to transact any such business that may be proper to come before this convention. The Credentials Committee reports that we have 34 delegates present, 4 alternates, and 1 proxy, all with the proper forms. The total number of those authorized to vote tonight is 39 total attendees.
Thank you, Matt.
That is the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to call on Will Love to move forward with the nomination of permanent chair.
Thank you, Andre and Matt, and thank you for everyone for joining us tonight. As a second-term DTC member and local activist, I can say without a doubt that Julie Kushner has brought a new energy to our headquarters. People who have previously been disengaged from our local party started showing up, and it is the kind of energy we need as a party to move forward. I would like to make a motion to nominate Andrea Gartner as permanent chair.
Thank you, Will. And for a second, Kate Canetta?
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor?
Move nomination closed.
From the floor. Okay, with no nominations, I will call the vote by acclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, I will now be your permanent chair to elect our permanent secretary and manage the remainder of this evening's endorsement proceedings. At this time, I'd like to call on Kit Sathong for a nomination of a permanent secretary.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Andrea, and thank you for everyone for being here. I've been in the Danbury community for a little over 20 years, and I can say that when Julie became state senator, she's done a lot of good work, and I'm just happy. I became a US citizen in 2015, and this is my first go around at local politics. So I'm happy to be in the community. I'm happy to be a part of the Democratic Party, and I'm happy to nominate Matt Knickerbocker for permanent secretary.
Okay, there's a motion by Kit made to nominate, a motion made to nominate Matt Knickerbocker as permanent secretary. Is there a second? I think by Chris.
I second the nomination.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? With only one nomination, I will call a vote by acclamation. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, Matt Knickerbocker is the permanent secretary for tonight. And so now we can commence with the 24th District's Democratic State Senate Convention. Okay, so another procedural point. I am now asking for a unanimous motion to support the adopted rules as suggested by the state party and circulated on the call to convention.
So moved.
So Larry, I believe you were going to make that first.
Larry may not know he's done. There he goes.
There he is.
So moved. And seconded by, I think Oswaldo is providing this.
Second.
Thank you, Oswaldo. Okay, are there any objections? With no objections, the rules are adopted. So we will now begin our nominations. Thank you all again for attending. This is an unusual, I know a lot of you, this is your first convention, but I will say we are all on the same level playing field here doing the convention this way. So thank you for bearing with us and doing your part in keeping the wheels of democracy moving forward. This convention will follow the rules of the state party and also Robert's Rules of Order. I now call on Cindy McGuire, and she can proceed with the first nomination.
Well, thank you, Andrea. I would like to nominate Julie Kushner for office. A strong woman stands up for herself. A stronger woman stands up for everyone else. I admire so many things about Julie, but most of all, it is her choice to get up every day and fight for the everyday person, for justice for all people. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "One's philosophy is not best expressed in words. It is expressed in the choices we make." Julie chooses. She actually chose to be courageous 2 years ago and run against a 10-year incumbent. She chooses every day to work hard to make things happen, and we are all the better for it. Julie gets results. One of her signature campaign promises resulted in the strongest paid medical and family leave in the country. As the co-chair of the Labor and Public Employees Committee, Julie commented, "Working families will be able to pay their rent while on bonding leave with a newborn child. A worker won't have to fear losing her job because she suffered a serious injury. If your parent is ill and needs your help, you can be there without worrying about how to pay your bills. We have done great things in passing one of the very best paid family and medical leaves in the country. It will be good for working families, and it will strengthen our state's economy, providing income at a time when people need it most." Julie gets results. Julie led the debate on the $15 minimum wage. She remarked, "I have spent my entire life fighting on behalf of workers, and it's an incredible honor to now be in a position to lift the wages of so many of our state's workers and get them closer to what would be a living wage." Julie gets results. Stronger gun control laws. Julie voted to approve 3 new bills designed to enhance firearm safety in Connecticut, requiring guns to be stored in locked containers in homes with minors, prohibiting the manufacturing of firearms without serial numbers, the so-called ghost guns, and requiring firearms in unattended motor vehicles to be secured, and so much more. Julie takes the time to support all of her constituents. She was on the front lines with the Stop and Shop workers as they fought for better wages and benefits, and I believe her voice helped them win. Even now, she is helping them by supporting our Ear Savers project to bring some comfort to them while they wear masks for extended periods of time. She is literally at the stores handing them out with us. And during this pandemic, Julie once again chose to stand up for us. She recently urged our governor to slow down on the reopening of our state. She is concerned about having proper and enough PPE for the workers and enough testing and contact tracing. She believes people should not have to choose between earning a living and their health. It is hard for Julie not to be able to be with her constituents in person. She and her team have been calling constituents to check in on them, to make sure they have the resources they need during this health crisis. We need Julie to continue to fight for us. She is courageous, strong, extremely kind, and humble. I urge you once again, choose Julie to represent us. Our lives might just depend on it. Thank you.
Cindy, that was tremendous. Thank you so much. I now call on Elvis Novas to second the nomination of Julie Kushner.
Thank you, Andrea. Good evening. Buenas noches. It is my pleasure and honor to nominate mi amiga Julie Kushner for the 24th Senate District. Julie has been a champion for our community. She campaigned on a platform of being more responsive to the needs of Danbury residents. She has a progressive mindset and works to better integrate the Juans and Juanas of our community. Then she went to Hartford and fought for gun safety, raising the minimum wage, paid family and medical leave, and supporting thousands of working families in our communities and across the state. Since day one in Hartford, she has continued to remain present in our community. Wherever you look, you can see Julie working side by side with Danbury, giving physical and moral support to our community organizations and events, listening to the people concerns, and sharing in the joys and the hearts of our people. She gives us all hope, the kind of hope that only the best elected leaders can provide. She knows who we are. That's why she has been able to represent our community so powerfully in Hartford. We want Julie to continue fighting for us. There is no doubt in my mind that she will continue working hard for better educational opportunities for our children, higher quality living for all families, and affordable health care and prescription drugs in the district. Thank you so much.
Elvis, thank you. Wonderful words. For an additional second, I now call on Peggy Keeley.
Thank you, Andrea. I am very enthusiastic about seconding that nomination for Julie Kushner, who has this incredible inability to just bring out the best in people, even old activists, latent activists like myself, who have rejoined the picture after time away. So Julie brings so many attributes to her office. Her intelligence, her very strong work ethics, which is on display every day since she's been elected. Her ability to listen to others, and especially to listen to people who have opinions who differ from her own or are different than she is. She's just wonderful at making those connections and building community. She confronts power. I'm so impressed with her ability to stand up, which is displayed so frequently in her current position. Julie's organizational skills appear to have been immediately recognized by her peers in the Senate. Almost as soon as she took office, she quickly became chair, and she brought her experience and expertise as the chair of the Labor Committee, which was such a perfect choice. And her vice chairmanship in the Environmental Committee serves us in the 24th especially well, where she is looking after our concerns for our lake, and she's working on promoting clean air policies Julie's ongoing work and so many areas, progressive policies, has impressed me. And she continues to promote small businesses, which will be especially necessary at this particular time when people are trying to get their small businesses up and running again. And long before the pandemic, she was an advocate for small business, and I know that she will continue and work doggedly on their behalf. Her position has allowed her an opportunity to screen some bills as they come in and be fair, but also keep her constituents' priorities in the forefront in these bills. I applaud her work thus far in the fields of education, transportation, as well as housing, among other things. And Julie's worked doggedly on our concerns and was a mover and shaker in promoting the minimum wage bill. And she quickly became the face of working families and helping to pass the family paid medical leave. So many of Julie's constituents have come to rely on her accessibility. I don't know how one person can be in so many places at one time. She's continued to amaze me with her eagerness and her energy. She never seems to miss an opportunity to be present at events. And even now, as mentioned before, now that she can't connect in person, she's connecting through her phone banking and her good use of technology. So as a constituent, I've never really felt like I've had a strong voice outside of the voting booth. I feel like she's giving me a voice, and I think I speak for many others who feel the same way. Like now someone is listening to them and we are being heard. I love that she's building coalitions. I don't know if there's a Republican who can't be charmed by Julie, by her intellect, her willingness to listen, her warmth, her sincerity, and her logic. So I'm confident that she can persuade others to give and take in order to get some real work done on the Senate floor. We need new leadership in the Senate and the Congress, and we have an opportunity to move those seats in the House and in the Senate. And we're moving closer to making big changes in Hartford. So Julie's not afraid to take on those tough problems. We've all seen that firsthand. So Julie inspires me, and I see how she inspires and affects others. So I'm very proud to nominate Julie Kushner for State Senate.
Very lovely, Peggy. I was there the moment that Peggy got activated because it was from a door knocking launch that started in my residence, and I met Peggy in my home, and that started it 2 years ago. So nice to see you here giving the nomination. And now for the final nomination, I call on David Gilday.
My pleasure.
David?
Unmute.
He's muted.
Okay, I need to, all right.
You may not realize he's muted.
Okay,
Oh, there he
everyone's
is.
unmuted now.
There
So
we go.
David,
Can you hear me?
sorry about that.
There we go.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. Hey, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there with you tonight. I am heading downstate right now. But let me start by stating the obvious. You know, these aren't normal times by any stretch of the imagination. As we all make our own way through this pandemic, I hope that you and your families are safe and well. America has always had a way of coming together through moments of crisis and uncertainty. The spirit of looking out for one another shouldn't be restricted to our homes, our workplaces, our neighborhoods, or our places of worship. It also has to be, maybe most importantly in these times, reflected in our government. The kind of leadership that is guided by knowledge and experience, honesty and humility, empathy and grace. Senator Julie Kushner personifies all of these equalities and so much more. I had met Julie for the first time some years ago at a candidate training function in Hartford. I really enjoyed her personal story of growing up in small town, rural America. But I had heard of Julie Kushner around the labor movement long before that. I had heard not to underestimate her and not to let the glasses and the smile fool you. She was tough and ready to battle if necessary. And let me tell you, they were right. Julie has helped Sherman in many ways, most importantly, providing much needed leadership and giving our small town a say-so at the state level. She has also made my job as DTC chair easier by raising awareness and increasing activism tenfold in my town. And yes, Sherman Democrats are making phone calls and knocking on doors, not because I asked them to, but because they believe in Julie and respect her for her willingness to fight for what is right. Residents in Sherman have expressed how amazing it feels to actually be able to pick up a phone and call their elected official, even sit down and have a cup of coffee together while discussing the issues at hand. This is the kind of representation the 24th District needs and deserves. This is why I am honored to second the nomination of Julie Kushner to continue as state senator for the 24th District. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I have to say, I really appreciate members from each of the communities that Julie serves, highlighting what they like most about Julie as a senator. And frankly, there seem to be no overlap. So Julie, you have many talents and you continue to serve us all very well. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This is Matt Knickerbocker. I know I'm not on the script, but I want to add my voice as a municipal official and as elected official. The 2 years I've spent working with Julie have been amazing. She has more energy. She has brought more creativity and more power and drive to the Senate that I've ever experienced in the 20 plus years that I've been involved in Bethel town government. And there's one thing that this global crisis has really laid bare in our country. It is the effects of poverty. It's the effect of not having a national health care system. It's the effects of having a population that has been so oppressed and their wages have been held so low that up to 40% of Americans can't scrape together $400 in an emergency. And this crisis has just laid those problems bare. And we must make changes, and we need people like Julie Kushner to lead that charge. She is a powerful Democrat. She knows how to get things done. These are the things that we need to change in our state and our country. So I want to add my second to her nomination as well. And thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Of course, Matt. Again, any nominations from the floor? Any nominations from the floor?
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Godfrey.
It's Bob Godfrey. I'm just delighted to hear all of the nominating and seconding speeches. Everything is true. Let me just add that I've served for a while with more than a few state senators from the 24th District. And as the saying goes, I've seen the rest, now I've seen the best. It's just a delight actually having help in the Senate to get stuff through for Western Connecticut and the state of Connecticut. So it gives me great pleasure to move that we close the nominations and nominate Julie Kushner by acclamation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Godfrey. Is there a second for that motion to close the nominations and vote by acclamation?
Second.
That was Bernie Gallo. Thank you, Mr. Gallo. Before I recognize our candidate, is there anyone else who would like to speak? I think Chris Hall, you were one of the...
I wasn't sure whether I was supposed to speak now or afterwards. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
In addition to all of the accomplishments that others have listed for Julie, I'd like to note that in New Fairfield, she has been particularly helpful together with Ken on issues concerning the lake. which is an issue of central importance to our town. She and Ken have also been very, very helpful on our new schools project. They've been instrumental on our new schools project. We could not have gotten it as far along as we got it without their help. This is a team we can't break up, and we need to move forward. I'd also like to point out that we from New Fairfield know firsthand what the stakes are in this election. Julie's opponent is Susan Chapman, former first selectman from New Fairfield, and a candidate a couple of years ago for Secretary of State. The move from Julie to Susan would be detrimental to all of us in the 24th. It just, the contrast between the two just cannot be overdrawn. Susan is a Trump Republican writ large, capital letters, big red capital letters. She was, from a local perspective, she's behind the use of chemicals in the lake. Pat Delmonico, the first selectman in New Fairfield, and I are still dealing with the outgrowth of her mismanagement of the town for 5-6 years. And she would not be a good choice for the 24th. She has the backing of Mayor Mark, and she's been courting the Stefanowskis. We cannot take anything for granted. Once we vote here to endorse Julie, that's the first minute of getting active to make sure that she wins and that she defeats Susan Chapman. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Also, Mary Consolis asked to say some words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What I have to say is a bit redundant, but I wanted to know Julie as a mom. I met Julie actually through her son. And as a union president and a union activist, I wanted to admire Julie and how she did everything for the support of the family unit that she was so familiar with. And I'd like to say thanks, Larry, for sharing Julie. And it was nice for all of us to have Julie on board and have someone to call back. And I still hear in my head echo when I read that her opponent from her first election was still trying to figure out how he lost. So thank you, Julie, for all your efforts. We look forward to supporting you and look forward to victory in November.
Thank you, Mary. And also Wilson Hernandez, you wanted to say a few words as well? Oh, hold on. Sorry, Wilson, I have to unmute you. Sorry. I'm sorry, Wilson, you're live now.
Okay, yes, thank you, Andrea. And I just want to add some words to the wonderful things that we heard about Julie. I became an Democrat active in the party 2 years ago, and everything happened because of Julie. It has been an honor working with Julie. Julie is always looking for opportunities to talk to people. I know that among immigrants who are voters, she's really, really a person that brings some hope. And working on her campaign will be really an honor, and I invite all of you, all of us, to be part of this effort to re-elect Julie for the 24th district. Thank you, Julie, for all things that you have done and all your friendship and everything that you do for the community. Thank you so much.
Wilson, thank you. Wilson was a candidate of ours this past election cycle, running for City Council at large. It's nice to have you involved in Danbury Democratic politics. And I will say we have a special guest now who is basically the Zoom bombing in the best sense, our Congresswoman Jahana Hayes.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you for allowing me to Zoom bomb your meeting. I just could not. I just got off of another Zoom meeting. I've been at it all day since about 9 a.m. But I just wanted the opportunity. I know you don't need to hear from me, but I need for you to understand and appreciate how important it is to me to have Julie Kushner as a representative in the state. You have no idea. I mean, the federal delegation we have our work cut out for us. But when we are on the floor debating and they're whipping, how many members are going to vote for a $15 minimum wage? That was an easy vote for me because in my state, we were already doing that. When they're asking how many members are going to vote for universal background checks, that was an easy vote for me because in my state, we're already doing that. When I sit on the Committee of Education and Labor and we're talking about expanding safety precautions and protections for workers, those were easy votes for me because at home, my state is already doing that. And the champion on all of those issues is Julie Kushner. So I need for you to send her back because it just makes my life easier. If you thought 2018 was hard, 2020 is going to be 10 times harder. We will be coming off of the impact of this pandemic. We will have to discuss how we fund schools and communities and what our legislature will look like. This really, people talk about like the election of our lifetime. This election really has a life or death kind of consequences. And our values are on the line. And it just makes it to have a partner like Julie, who shares my values, who we are aligned by our mission. We really speak for people who don't have a voice. It really, I guess, grounds the work that we're doing at the federal level. So, I mean, I know you all are going to support her anyway, but I just want you to understand the impact of that support, because once we flip the White House, which we will, and the Senate, which we will, and maintain the majority in the House, which we will, none of that matters if we don't have people at the state and local level who will bring that legislation right back to the people. So I'm so happy that, I don't know where you are in the program. I was like rushing to get off my other call so I can get on this call, because I am just so excited. Julie and I were both long shots in 2018, and we were out knocking on doors and talking to people, and it worked. It worked. People are ready for just this authentic person-to-person legislation. And I think 2018 was only the beginning of what we can do. And I am just so humbled and grateful to be in this fight with her. And I'm ready to fight moving forward. I'm ready to really go all in 2020. And I just thank you all for supporting her and supporting me and supporting the work that we've done and speaking up for communities who don't have a voice. And just happy to be a part of this. I don't have a vote, but if I did, I'd vote for Julie. So hopefully you all will cast a vote for me, not only to make my life easier, but to really make the lives of all of the people in the 5th district more productive. And you've seen what's coming out of the other side. And I don't want to be partisan, but it just is what it is. They don't believe the same things we do. They don't share our values, and they are going to spend all of their resources and all of their times putting a marker down on things that are just lies. And we need people like Julie, who in the plainest speak ever can go out and talk to people and explain to them, this is what we're doing and this is why it's important. So I don't have a vote, Julie, but if I did, I would support you. And I thank you for your support of me. You've been wonderful. You know, from the very beginning, when it looked like this was a long shot, you kind of stood off to the side with me and said, I identify with what you believe in. And you just have been a tremendous, tremendous partner with me. And I can't wait to get you reelected and get me reelected and finish what we started. So thanks for letting me Zoom bomb your meeting.
And in the best way. Thank you, Congresswoman. So we had a motion on the floor, seconded by Bernie Gallo, to close the nominations and vote by acclamation. All those in favor? Oh, wait a second.
Aye.
We gotta make sure.
Aye.
Yeah, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Terrific. So ladies and gentlemen, delegates and Democrats, it is my great honor to introduce you to our Democratic State Senate candidate for the 24th District, Julie Kushner. Yay! Yay. All right.
Applause.
Yay.
Thank you all. And, I have to say, Jahana, I was so privileged to have been with you at your 2018 convention, and again this year in the 2020 convention. I knew from the very beginning that you were there for us, and so we're so excited that we're going to send you back into Congress. So thank you so much. And I couldn't be happier than to have our Congresswoman, Zoom bomb our convention here. I feel quite honored, and so thank you so much. I had remarks to make tonight, and I never write speeches. I always speak whatever comes from my heart at the moment, and so I actually wrote out my comments, and I feel like throwing them out because so many of you talked about the things that I wanted to bring up and share with you about my experience. So many of you talked about the values and the pieces of legislation that we passed in 2018, in 2019, that were really the reason I ran for office. I ran in 2018 because I thought there were problems in Hartford and things that we needed to fix in our state. And I thought I could get those things done. And I ran because I wanted to see paid family leave finally make it across our finish line. And I wanted to see a raise in the minimum wage. And those, and I wanted to see us fully fund education. And while we haven't gotten there entirely, we did improve the funding for education. So there were many, many things that motivated me to run, but I don't think I really appreciated what it would mean to be a legislator until I got there. I had lobbied for years on behalf of working families. I had fought for years at the legislature to pass bills that would help working families, but I never experienced what it would be like to actually be in that seat and in that chair and have that opportunity to work with my colleagues, especially those that are here right on the call right now, David Arconti and Ken Gucker and Bob Godfrey, who serve in the House and have been great legislators, great elected officials who, as a team, we've gotten so much done. And so I really didn't understand what it was going to be like, but it was a very rewarding experience. It was exhilarating to be able to pass the raise in the minimum wage and know that 350,000 people in this state would benefit from that, or to pass a paid family and medical leave bill, which, unfortunately we're not quite there yet in terms of having it available to people. It's going into effect in 2022. People will start getting benefits. We certainly could have used those benefits today in this healthcare crisis. And so, I really had an opportunity to go beyond those issues that were really dear to my heart and find new ways to represent our community. So working on the clean air bill, the air monitoring for Sherman because of the Cricket Valley intrusion of that power plant. What a great opportunity to pass a piece of legislation that's going to actually help in the community. Or the invasive species bill that you spoke about and saving the lake and making sure that we have the funds to make sure we have a beautiful resource there that's not just for recreation, but it's also an economic driver, particularly in New Fairfield. And so these are really important local issues. You know, I think when you all spoke, it was really hard to listen to you talk about me, partly because I'm very aware that it is not about me, it's about us. It's about all of you who are at this convention tonight and all the work you've done to make the change possible. It's about all of the volunteers throughout the district who have worked so hard, not just during campaign time, but work every day to help their community thrive. You know, a lot of you I didn't know before I ran for office. I met many of you in the course of running for office and now in the course of legislating and being your elected official. And the friendships that I've made feel like they've been friendships for decades and decades. They feel like old friendships because of the depth of the commitment that you all have that I share to make things better in our community. You know, I have had amazing experiences. I want to talk first about New Fairfield. And Chris, you mentioned the school effort. And I have to say that I talk about the New Fairfield, the way you really demonstrated participatory democracy. You didn't just have a vote on building new schools. You went out into the community. They had tours every week for months. You could go up there and tour the schools and see where the problems were and see why we needed to have new schools in New Fairfield. And then that wasn't enough. They had an open school board meeting where they sat there for hours so every person could ask their questions and they could get their questions answered. And they had the consultants there and they had the whole school board and the elected officials. It was amazing. They didn't shut anybody down. Everybody had an opportunity to speak and ask their questions. And then they did phone banking, very grassroots, people who had never been involved in the community, but really valued the need for good schools. And to me, I talk about New Fairfield all the time. I talk about that effort, and that's the way we should govern. That is the way we should involve community in making decisions, important decisions like that. And I think it needs to be highlighted and lauded because it really was an amazing experience. And I was so happy to be a part of it. And I know when I showed up to do phone banking at Eric Alavidi's house, he was like so surprised that I was there to phone bank. And I was like, this is my privilege to phone bank, to be part of this effort that I can answer the questions because I went on the tour and I feel equipped to advocate for this effort. And so, you know, things like that, or going to Sherman. I'll be honest, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I had never been to Sherman before I ran for office. And I found a community gem there. First of all, as a small rural community, I could identify with it, as you probably heard. I grew up in this town even smaller than Sherman, only 1,500 people in the Midwest. And to me, Sherman is such a tight-knit community. And I think one of the things I think about is going to the Veterans Day event at the school and looking at the small children sitting on the gym floor. And they were just enthralled. They were listening so closely to the veterans speak about their experience. And they were so, we had our keynote speaker that day, Ted Hollander, somebody who wrote a book about community service. And they were just, their faces were all lit up. And it was amazing to be in that room and to listen to those kids. And then remember who I was and how I grew up and could so relate to that experience. You know, Bethel has been another incredible experience for me. I knew Bethel a little bit better because it's so much, so close to Danbury. And, you know, actually I get my hair done in Bethel. So I go there a lot within my district, by the way. And I do know that, you know, Bethel is one of those communities also that really pitches in. And I saw that in action, Matt, it was pretty impressive. And Cindy and all of you, who are on here from Bethel, when the Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving time, there's a food collection and a distribution by Brotherhoods in Action. And last year I got to go and help deliver the food. And that was an amazing experience, seeing people who live in Bethel come out and help other people who live in Bethel to make sure that no one was food insecure, to make sure that everybody could celebrate the holidays with some, beautiful, beautiful food to put on their table. And so, all of these experiences have been incredible for me. I think Danbury, I knew Danbury pretty well, having lived here for 27 years. But I didn't know as many people as I now know in Danbury. And I didn't have the connection to the communities that I have today. And, I think I attended more flag raisings than you can imagine. We raise flags in Danbury every time, every community, every country with immigrants that live here, we raise a flag on their Flag Day. And it's a great experience. I had never been to the VFW hall here in Danbury. I found out they have wonderful pancake breakfasts, and I go there as often as I can, once a month, to really support our veterans in our community. Larry goes with me, he loves the food. But I've met some really wonderful people there that I would never have known, I would never have met. And I feel very comfortable going there and sitting down and sharing with them. Recently, one of our vets, Juan Vasquez, he just recently had a newborn baby who was in the NICU. And what I found so amazing about Juan is that here he is, his wife's having a premature, giving birth prematurely. They were prepared for that. And he didn't stop going to the Super 8, where he also was helping the homeless. That's who we have in our community. And, these experiences for me, I've marched in parades, I've participated in town hall meetings. These are the things that elected officials do. But I really want to share with you that for me, these are some of the highlights of being your elected official. I really love meeting all of the people at these events. And, it's been hard now because of the pandemic to not be able to go out and have those interactions with people. And I know that the pandemic has hit our community very hard, our area very hard. And I feel very fortunate that I personally have not lost anyone. I do have a dear friend who I've not heard from for a week who's in the hospital. And I'm hoping she's going to come through this. But I know some of you, even on this call, I don't want to out you, Kit, but I know Kit and his mother both contracted the virus. And his mother works in one of the nursing homes here in Danbury. And, that's got to be incredibly scary to go through that. And I'm so happy they both have survived that virus, and his mom is back to work. And, but it's an amazing time that we're living in. And for that reason, I have taken my position very seriously. We don't go to legislate. We pretty much lost the whole session. We really didn't pass any of the laws that we had hoped to pass yet this year. But we didn't stop working. The Senate Democrats met every day. During the session, we meet for 2 hours every day and go over policy issues and answer questions for each other and brainstorm about how we can help those in our community. I think Governor Lamont has done an amazing job guiding us through this health crisis. I've been a big supporter of Governor Lamont and of his administration, but I've also written letters and made phone calls and really gotten very agitated when I thought we could do better. And someone referenced recently, Cindy said something about my urging caution about reopening. And I didn't do this because I'm anti-business. Far from it. I grew up in a business family, a small business family. My dad was a grocer. I have a real appreciation for small business people. But I was really concerned that we hadn't really figured out how we could open safely and how we could make sure we had enough PPE for every employer that need to interact with the public, and how we would have enough tests to make sure that people knew when they were going to work that their coworkers didn't already have the virus. I think the salons is probably one of the best examples of how hard it is to govern right now. Because I go to a salon in Bethel that I think is the most beautiful place. It's elegant and they do a great job there. And it turns out the woman who owns it and built that from scratch, she grew up on my block here in Danbury. I didn't know that when I went there, but I found it out while she was washing my hair one day. And her parents still live on this block. And I know she worked hard to build that salon into what it is today. And I know, because I have been in constant communication with her, that it's incredibly difficult what she's going through, and she is afraid she'll lose her business. But I also know from other salon workers how scared they are. They're really, really concerned that they're going to be put at risk. And I think that many workers have been put at risk, whether you work in a grocery store or whether you work in a nursing home or whether you work in the hospital or whether you're a police officer or a firefighter. There are so many workers that are out there every day putting their lives at risk for our essential services. But the tension about the hair salons is this an essential service that we can't live without? Is it going to be better to open up now if we're not ready and really prepared, so that we don't take this investment of the 2 months that we have been staying at home and that we've invested in bringing down this virus? We don't want to go backwards. So I see that tension. I believe that we need to preserve our small businesses. I would like to say to Jahana, because I know Jahana has the ability with all of her colleagues to make, you're laughing at me, but you do. I mean, we need a strong federal government, one that cares about people and doesn't see a choice between whether a small business is going to survive or whether a worker is going to have a $15 minimum wage. That should not be the choice. The choice is, we have to have a country that sees the value in both the small business and the worker and says that we're going to make sure there's assistance there for everyone to get through this, much like the Depression, when the New Deal brought us through the Depression and really built a stronger society coming out of a very dark time. I want that to be our country today. I want our country to come out of this stronger than before. I want our country to understand the value of supporting everyone in our community and not being divided by race or by immigration status, not being divided by your status, whether you're wealthy or poor, but being in this together. And I believe we can do that. I've seen that here in Danbury and New Fairfield and Sherman and in Bethel. We are one community. Black and brown and young and old, we are one community, and we all do better when we work together. So for me, I have to say, all of you, I may have gone on a bit, but I do feel like I wanted an opportunity to say how much it's meant to me to be your state senator. I have valued every day. I have tried to live every day representing you to my very best ability. And I have not done this alone. We did not pass the minimum wage alone. We did not pass the paid family leave alone. Years and years of activism, years of coalition building, people coming together, that's what got us there. And I feel like I was so fortunate to have been there when we finally had the power to do these things. It's been my incredible honor to represent the 24th Senate District. I have to say that the Democratic Party, and Andrea, I appreciate so much your leadership here in Danbury and the leadership of the chairs, Josh and David and Nick over in Bethel, the leadership that has made our party stronger, and the Working Families Party that has made our party more progressive. And my colleagues I mentioned and all the elected officials who are on this call, Chris and Matt, and we have former Mayor Jean Eriquez here. I know Board of Ed, Kate Canetta, you're doing wonderful work there. We have a zoning commissioner here. We have Ryan Hawley on the call as one of our delegates, and our constable, Nicole Cossett-Levy. And, we have had just an amazing democratic revival in Danbury and the 24th District. And I've been so happy to be a part of it. And to my House colleagues, I know you're suffering the same way I am. You want to get back to work, David and Ken and Bob, and we also have Raheb, and I hope we have Danette up there soon. But we want to get back to work so that we can actually move our progressive forward. And lastly, I just want to say to my family, you all have gotten to know Larry. Larry has been an amazing support to me over the last couple of years. You know, he's not one who wanted to make phone calls ever, but he's actually done that on my behalf. He's not somebody who likes to go to rallies and parades, but now I have to drag him away because he's met so many of you that he doesn't want to stop saying, you know, seeing you and talking to you. And to my kids and grandkids and my siblings who I think might be watching, and my 91-year-old mother out in Nebraska who made her way to Sherman twice, not just once, but fell in love with the community as I did. It's been my family that has really given me the strength to do the work that I've done over decades and now as your state senator. So, you know, I want to thank you all. I do accept the nomination. I think I forgot to say that the other day. I do accept the nomination, and I am privileged and honored to be your state senator today. And I hope that I will be your state senator again after the election in 2020. So thank you all so much for giving me the opportunity to share my love for you and my devotion to all of you.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
So before a motion to adjourn, I don't know if there's anyone else who'd like to say a few words.
Andrea, can I just have a point of personal privilege? I just want, first of all, Julie, I love you. You know that. And I'm so happy that this meeting did not end before I could Zoom bomb you, if you will. It's my first time Zoom bombing. And
you did a great job.
I did. But just to kind of depart from just the conversation just a little bit, I have, as you can imagine, been watching very closely all of the races throughout the district. And I want to remind everybody how important it is that we support these races up and down the ballot. Local candidates, state candidates, all of them are going to be critically important as we go into 2020. It cannot just be about a presidential race or a federal race. Every single Democratic candidate, I saw Danette on this call. First of all, Democrats are giving us some great people to work with. I don't know what else we could ask for. But the other thing that I want to say to you is I have kind of been watching closely, and I'm so proud of the Democratic caucus because we have decided that our work will speak for us. If you've watched any of the Republican conventions, it is just a constant series of mudslinging and what we're not doing. And we really stand on our values and stand on our work. And I just hope that we can continue that into the 2020 cycle, because I believe that that's enough. I mean, we have worked hard, we have engaged communities, we have delivered on our promises, and that is enough. We don't have to get in the mud on these issues. And I'm just so grateful to have people who share that same values. Like Julie, your work is enough. So I just appreciate that, because again, in a very selfish way, it makes my work so much easier. And to the Danbury Democrats, just thank you, because you have recruited a tremendous slate of candidates, which makes it a lot easier to campaign. You know, it's really hard to campaign for people who are not good candidates. So I know yesterday you had Ken, today you have Julie, I see Danette on the call, and we just have some really great candidates who are invested in the community, who have put in the work, who can stand on their record. And I think that is enough. And if we give people the choice and educate them on their options, that we will be successful in 2018. So just
2020.
2020.
Oh, yeah. 2020. 2020. It's been a difficult year for me. 2020, but I think we can start. just really continue what we started in 2018. So just thank you. And I'm ready to work. It's going to look different this year, but I'm ready for that too. Different is okay. I think we figured that out in 2018. So, Danette, I'm all in for you, and Ken, if he's on this call, and Julie. I think that we have a tremendous slate of candidates, and I'm just so grateful that you're giving us so much to work with. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. And I wish that you were all here in the room, because I would give you all, each and every one of you, a hug. And I know our social distancing is going to prevent us from doing that, but yes, we all have to hug. Oswaldo is doing that. And, it is going to be different, but we're going to find a way. And, some of our customs may change. We might not be able to shake hands anymore with folks for a while, but that's okay. We'll find other customs to replace it. And that human connection will always be there for us, because that's who we are. We need it and we appreciate it. And so thank you all for doing this tonight, for being here, for all the lovely and wonderful things you said about me. I feel humbled by your praise. I really, I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you. And there are a lot of people out there. I hope there are people watching on Facebook, a lot of the folks that have been helping all through this to make sure that our movement is strong. And so thank you. And I know it's going a little long now. So Andrea, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
We only have one more point of business. Congratulations, Julie. Thank you. I know you will represent all of our communities as well as you have been these past 2 years. Congresswoman Hayes, just please keep up the good work. We need you where you are. You've been doing tremendous work, and really, I'm a grateful constituent. And I think I speak for the Danbury Democrats and saying thank you for all your service. We only have one more point of business to conduct, and that's a motion to adjourn. Jean Iroquois, will you move to adjourn?
My congratulations to you, our Senator, and people should know that I've been around a while in government and politics as well. And in a year and a half, in her first term in office, Julie Kushner has done more and accomplished more than her predecessor did in 10 years collectively. So congratulations, Julie. Let's go fight, win. I move we adjourn.
Yes, and a second to adjourn. Anyone can jump in.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Love, thank you for your second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your participation.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
That's fine. So I'm live streaming, Andrea.
Well, now it's the point. Now here's where I thank our friends for watching on Facebook, and bye for now.